This is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. Hello and welcome to season 3 of this podcast. We are going to be looking at our relationship with ourselves in this season, and I am so excited to start that with you. It is going to be a journey. It's going to be good stuff. Where do we begin with that? There is so much I want to dig into. I want to begin today, though, by saying, pleased to meet you. And that is something that I have been saying to myself. Because how well do we really know ourselves? Pleased to meet you. Me. There I am, in there somewhere. You'll remember from the last episode before Christmas, I talked about looking ourselves in the eye. And what do we see when we do that? Who do we see inside there? And how uncomfortable it can be. A few of you commented that, I hate that. And I hear you. It's really tricky to just sit in front of the mirror and look ourselves in the eye. Why are we so afraid to get to know ourselves? Why does that feel so difficult to really look and see who is in there? I think it's because we're afraid that we might discover all kinds of things in there when we look ourselves in the eye. Things that we've been led to believe are terrible. What might we discover if we look ourselves in the eye? What might we see? Might we see anger, resentment, jealousy, small-mindedness, prejudice, arrogance, vanity, hatred, weakness, any number of things? Are we scared that that's what we will see when we look ourselves in the eye, that we will see these things inside us, and therefore we don't want to meet ourselves because that feels too distressing? And yet those things that I just listed, what are they? Why do we even have names for them? Each one that I listed, you knew exactly what it was and how it feels. All of you. Why is that? If they're so terrible, how come we all know them so well? Well, that's because they are human things. They're not shameful or wicked things that only we experience. You know, I'm the only person in the whole world who has prejudice inside me, has jealousy inside me, has resentment inside me. I can't look myself in the eye because I'll see it and then I'll know it's there and it's awful because it's only me and everyone else is a good person. No, these are human things that everyone experiences. That's why we recognise them when I list them. So what am I saying? That things like hatred and arrogance and resentment are all totally fine? No, not at all. But I want to distinguish here between the emotion and the behaviour. Because all of us experience the full range of human emotions all the time, in any given day, certainly in any given week. Everything. The worst emotions that you can imagine. We've all felt them, sometimes fleetingly, but at one time or another, we have all felt the things that we imagine are dreadful. Maybe the things that we're told are dreadful. We've all felt them. We all experience them all the time. They come up, they come, they go. We cannot control how we feel. Emotions are things that happen. They just come into our bodies and minds they pass, but there's nothing that we can do about them, and they don't say anything about what we deserve. We can go down such a path, can't we? If I feel that way, therefore I'm a terrible person, therefore I don't deserve love, therefore I must hide this in myself because then no one will like me. And we're off on this spiral of absolute despair about who we are. And yet it's just feelings that we all experience. And our emotions appear because of what we've been through in our lives, our upbringing, what we're facing on any given day, and how well our needs are being met. All emotions are temporary, but they come up in all kinds of different circumstances because of all kinds of different things that are part of who we are. And that's the same for everyone. Judging ourselves for having them is just a huge barrier to getting to know ourselves well, because it encourages us to hide away from our real emotions, hiding them even from ourselves, shying away from who we truly are, because we're busy judging the fact that we have these feelings. But what matters is not how we feel, but what we do with how we feel. When we have these feelings, are we using them as signposts to what it is that we need? As guides to a deeper understanding of who we are. Maybe as opportunities to gain empathy for others who may be feeling similar things. We're all so quick to divide the world into good and bad people, but when we have emotions that we think of as negative, it can be a way to have empathy and understanding for other people who are displaying those emotions. Yeah, okay, it's not great how you're behaving, but I see you, I understand, because I felt that too. So are we just using these things as opportunities to learn? Or are we just giving them no attention or curiosity because we're afraid of them, and we're simply acting on them? Which is what happens when we don't give these things the right kind of attention. We just display our prejudice. We behave with arrogance. We explode our anger onto people who don't deserve it. We act out of malice and jealousy. We create situations where people get hurt and then do nothing to rectify it because we're just acting on our emotions, trying not to look at them, but they're still having an effect. It's our behaviour that counts. A sure way to behave in ways we dislike is to ignore our emotions and pay ourselves no attention, because that will lead to our emotions getting the better of us, and then we'll act in ways that we will regret. So what's the answer? Well, this uncomfortable thing I'm talking about, getting to know ourselves. Look yourself in the eye. Sit in front of the mirror and look yourself in the eye. It's going to take practice. It will be difficult the first time. It'll be difficult some days, but look yourself in the eye and see what's in there. See the anger, the sadness, the despair, the resentment, the bitterness. See it, accept it, and say hello to it. Hello, me. I am fully human. And then, when we've done that, which I'm not suggesting is the work of 5 minutes, this is big stuff, but when we've done that, then we can explore. Rather than thinking, I don't want to know what's in there because I'm a terrible person. Instead, we can say, wow, yeah, there's a lot of anger there. Okay, why is that anger there? What can I learn about that? What help do I need? How can I process what's going on for me? Some of this stuff will be on the day. I'm having a crappy day and someone's annoyed me. And some of this stuff will be deep-rooted, deep, long-standing stuff. What can we learn? What help do we need? Why is it there? Now, not only is that going to help us to grow and potentially be a lot happier because we're going to start processing this stuff and accepting it and seeing ourselves, but it also leaves space for us to see what we might think of as the more palatable emotions within us, because hiding from who we are and hiding from ourselves and never really looking at ourselves, it means that we don't see the love and the hope, the kindness, the compassion, the excitement and joy, passion and wonder We all have all of those inside us too. But if we're so busy being terrified of the fact that we have some human emotions like resentment and bitterness, we're not going to be able to see the wonderful things within us all, which we all have. Again, we're not different from anyone else in this. We all have space for those things. And it's a wonderful thing to meet ourselves and to see that within us as well. But we can't see it if we're not looking because we're afraid of what we're going to find. So you'll know by now, if you've listened to this podcast for a while, that excessive kindness is what I'm all about. Giving ourselves excessive kindness and self-care and positive self-talk and showing ourselves love. But all of that is not just about encouraging what we like about ourselves. That's wonderful. It's lovely to say, oh, well done me. I showed compassion today, or I acted out of love, or I'm really proud of the way I parented today. It's important to recognise and reward ourselves for those things, pat ourselves on the back, show ourselves some, love for all those things. But excessive kindness is actually about accepting and forgiving everything about ourselves. Yeah, everything. Yeah, that including that terrible thing you're just thinking of that you're like, Helen, but you don't realise. No, I know. All of those things. Accepting and forgiving. Because that way freedom lies. Once we see what's there, the reality, the humanity, we can figure out what we would like to work on, who we actually want to be. We cannot work on things we don't look at. But once we accept who we are, that's who I am, that's who I have become over the years. Once we accept that and forgive it, we can become whatever we want to be. Because strength lies in seeing ourselves for who we are, not being afraid of what's in there, accepting why we are, and then choosing how we want to live. Not alone, we don't have to do this alone, with help and guidance, learning and forgiveness, understanding that we and others will make mistakes. That understanding is so important. We don't have to do this work alone, but choosing how we want to live. Strength lies not in being a good person, in inverted commas. It lies in knowing we're just as much of a shitbag as the next person, but showing up anyway. Showing compassion anyway, doing the best we can anyway, even though we're a completely fully human fuck up. And not by someone else's measure of how we want to show up, but according to our own rules and values. The world is not split into good and bad people. That's a childhood story. It's not goodies and baddies. That's not real. We're all human, and we all have the capacity for every single emotion and behaviour. I feel like if we want to split the world, which I don't think we should because we're all, complicated individuals, but there are those people who understand themselves and then choose how to act according to their values. And there are those people who are completely bewildered about how to show up in the world the way they want to, because they have no understanding of who they are. And that's because they've never taken the time to fully meet themselves. So this season, we're going to be exploring all kinds of things about ourselves and our relationship with ourselves. And the first thing I'd like us to do is to find out who we are. Look yourself in the eye and say, pleased to meet you. And then find out who it is that you have met. Yeah, big stuff, hard stuff. I am here. If anyone wants to talk about this, you can see in the show notes the ways you can find me online, the ways you can work with me. Obviously, there's my book you can buy, different things that we can do so that you can have some input from me if you would like it. I am here for all comments and discussions. This is big work and we're all doing it together. I have not got this cracked. This is work we're doing together. And while we're doing this work, please be excessively kind to yourselves. And let's continue to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of life. See you next time. Thank you so much for listening. Did you know that my first book is now available to purchase online? Check out the show notes for details of how to get your hands on a copy. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a review, and don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are up. If you would like to work with me one-to-one or follow more of my content, you can find out how in the show notes. See you next time.